So I'm the kind of person who likes to surround myself with really interesting people. And a good example of that is a friend I had in high school. Her name was Haley, and she was a Wiccan. Side note, if you don't have at least one Wiccan friend, I highly recommend stopping by your local metaphysical store and picking one up. Wiccan as a people are just some of the most eclectic, interesting, accepting, empathetic people you'll ever meet. So one day, we were freshmen in high school, Haley and I are stopping by the local hamburger place to hang out with a couple of friends. And while we were there, we started talking, and eventually the topic of Haley's religion came up, and everybody started asking questions like, how do spells work, and do you have a magic wand, and do you ride a broomstick? And eventually somebody asked a question about auras, and what exactly auras were. And if you don't know what an aura is, the way Haley explained it is, an aura is like a colored fog or mist that surrounds every single human being, and everybody's aura is a different color, and the color reflects your personality. So if you're kind of like a fiery and passionate person, your aura would be like red, and if you're more cool, calm, and collected, it'd be blue. And then Haley added that usually people can't see other people's auras. However, she had recently done a spell on her eyes that gave her the ability to see auras. And so, of course, everybody starts asking, well, what's my aura color? So Haley goes down the line and she says, your aura is an electric blue, and oh, yours is hot pink, and yours is purple. And I asked her, well, what's my aura color? And Haley turned to me, and she looked me over for a second, and she said, pale beige. Pale beige, the color of dentist office waiting rooms and oatmeal and dead grass. Pale beige. And I've never had the greatest self-esteem. And when you have low self-esteem, stupid little things people say to you, like that your aura is pale beige, tend to stick with you. Like, I remember I was a freshman in college, so 4 years later, I'm a freshman in college, and I'm reading this letter I got from my college congratulating me on making the Dean's Honor Roll. Thank you. And I was reading it, and I was thinking, wow, you know, I am pretty smart. And then my little self-esteem gremlins came out of the back of my head and said, yeah, well, you still can't get a boy to talk to you. Probably because your aura color is pale beige. So it haunted me. And the thing that I like to do when something like that haunts me is probably not the healthiest thing, but I like to stuff it and then distract myself so I can't think about the things that make me sad. I'm really an emotionally healthy human being. So I did just that. I found ways to distract myself, and in trying to find things that distracted me, I ended up stumbling upon my one true passion in life, the one thing that really brings me joy: astrophysics. I love astrophysics because I think that it kind of combines history and science in a way that they've never been blended before, because the goal of astrophysics is basically to find the history of us and of our planet and of every other planet and every other star and every other thing in the cosmos that's ever existed and find its origin. And also, when you study astrophysics and astronomy, you kind of become a time traveler, in that every time you look through a telescope, whether you're looking at the moon or Mars, you're not looking at it as it is, but as it was, depending on how many light years away from you it is. For example, if a little alien is standing on a planet in the Virgo cluster of galaxies, which is 250 billion miles away, and they had a telescope powerful enough to zoom in on Earth, if they looked through that telescope, they'd see dinosaurs. It's a true fact, and the best thing about that fact is that it brings in at least 10 follow-up questions. And that happens a lot in astrophysics. And there's a book I read that tries to answer some of astrophysics and humanity's most hard-hitting questions. And it's a book called Death by a Black Hole by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And in that book, Dr. Tyson tries to answer our most hard-hitting questions. Questions like, what is dark matter made of? And why is it that a can of Diet Coke floats and a can of regular Coke sinks? The real questions we ask ourselves at about 2 o'clock in the morning. But the answer to one question in particular was more interesting to me than any of the others in the entire book. And that question was, if we took all of the visible light from every light-emitting object in the universe and combined it all together, what color would it be? In other words, what color is the universe? That question was answered by two scientists at Johns Hopkins University who took a survey of 200,000 galaxies, so that's a pretty big chunk of the known universe. And they mashed them together, and from that survey they were able to calculate that the universe, everything we see, everything we don't see, everything we exist in, is a pale shade of beige.